This is where the fun begins.
Clear eyes, full hearts, get loose.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
And here we go.
Welcome back to another episode of Realish. My name is LJ Jones.
I'm Derrick.
Hi, my name is Jessica Lemon.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
We missed you.
I missed you guys. I almost died. Not
Okay,
really.
listen.
I had a man cold.
So you
cold.
basically almost died.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
it was
horrible
bad.
when it comes to
Oh, it's the worst.
trash.
So a friend of mine, well wishes to him. He's COVID positive, right? So he's home. He's like, bro, my man colds are the absolute worst. So you can imagine how bad I am right now being COVID positive. Like he said, it's 1,000. He said, I'm making it 1,000 times worse than it probably is in this moment.
And when I had COVID, I had the symptoms. I felt horrible, but I made it worse because of the overthinking. And I went I got my blood pressure taken and it was like through the roof. And because once I saw the numbers, my heart rate went through the roof, man. I've never my blood pressure has never been that high. Never been that high because I was just freaking
the anxiety.
Out. I was like begging God, like, please, just don't let me die. Just don't let me die, man.
When I got exposed, I was freaking out. So I was like, but it was fine. Everything was fine.
I worked at a hospital when the whole pandemic started.
You did? Oh my God.
And I got exposed, and this was kind of early on, March, April, when people were, we're all still trying to figure it out. So I was working in the ER, and a COVID positive patient coughed in my face on purpose.
Bro.
They were angry because they weren't the hospital or the ER was packed. They were busy. So we're doing our best. And this person stopped me and tried to talk to me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. And he just coughed in my face.
Man.
And then so my AOD, they grabbed me and stuck me in a room for 12 hours.
I can't be around people. That's exactly why. This is
why you stay at home with your little bottle of hand sanitizer.
Yep. And my Lysol and Clorox wipes.
Little bottle. He has the biggest bottle you could possibly get.
I have one in my car that's this big. It's that same one. I have that same huge bottle in my car. So when I go get gas, I get in my car. I don't know if somebody was touching my car. And it's I always put sanitizer on, and mine smells like Fruit Loops, and it makes me really happy.
That's the best kind.
Literally, I miss Fruit Loops so much. I need to be a child again. So
I haven't had Fruit Loops in so long.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Do you know Trix have the shapes again?
Oh, do they? Good.
Yeah, they're not the little just circles anymore. They're shapes again.
I don't know why they went away from that.
Listen, it was the mandala effect. We shifted back into our previous universe.
You guys ready to get into news?
Yeah.
All right. So for just like the first episode of our rebrand, I'm gonna start with sad news, and then we'll move into.
This is the third episode.
Yeah, we did that last week too.
Third episode start off with sad news. So yeah, hopefully this is not a trend. It's just a coincidence.
So Kathy Griffin took to social media this morning to share that she has been diagnosed with stage 1 lung cancer. The 60-year-old comedian penned a post shortly before going into surgery. She stated she was going to have half of her lung removed. She said, "Yes, I have lung cancer, even though I have never smoked. The doctors are very optimistic as it is stage 1 and contained to my left lung." Griffin says she's hopeful that she won't require chemotherapy or radiation after the surgery, adding, "I should have normal function with my breathing after 1 month of recovery."
Her sister had cancer too, right? I remember she did a thing. She shaved her head because her sister had cancer. So she was shaving her head when her sister started chemo or something.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right.
That's wild. Yeah. I wonder if that's just something that runs in their family. I don't know what kind of cancer her sister had, but if it's stage 1, that's good. I feel not that it's good, but stage 1 is usually more treatable than when oh my God, Chadwick Bosman. Yeah, when he was diagnosed, he was like already at like stage 3 or stage 4. So like he really, it was like sudden for him.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the scary thing is I remember my high school history teacher was kind of like my Mr. Feeney, if that makes sense. Like so I went to a private school that was pre-K through 12th grade. So I was in class with his daughter from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. His wife was my teacher, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And then he was my teacher, 7th. He was my history teacher, 7th through 12th grade. So he was my
like
Christian school. It's a Christian school. So, but anyway,
you went to Christian school?
I did kindergarten, pre-K through 12th grade.
I did.
But anyway,
that explains your party antics.
What party antics?
What party antics?
What party? I'm a rapper. That's it's all for the
but I feel like that's what makes sense. It's like you're like, I feel like all of my friends, like anybody I know that went to like Catholic school, Christian school, like grew up to be kind of like rebellious in their careers, in their lives. Like they go to shows, or they're like in the entertainment industry, because it's like the exact opposite like how they grew up. Like one of my old roommates, she went to Catholic school, I think up until high school. I think her like elementary, middle school.
Catholic school's worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say she is probably like the biggest like pot smoker, maybe second biggest pot smoker I know.
I'll introduce you to some of my rapper friends.
She like so and like she always has different colored hair. She's got tattoos. She got piercings. She got an OnlyFans. Like,
she went all out.
That's what I mean. I'm like exact opposite. And everybody I've met that's gone to schools like that growing up have been a little bit on the rebellious side.
Yeah.
So really, how much are those schools helping?
Oh no, it makes you worse. But he was sick. He got sick right after graduation. Like he just wasn't feeling well. I remember I went to Busch Gardens with his son, and he said, "Hey, just say a prayer, send good vibes, whatever. My dad's not feeling too well. He's going to the doctor next week." And then the next week, I get a call saying that he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
That's what Chadwick Boseman had.
Yeah,
it's super quick.
It was super quick. He lived for another year, but he lost all his weight, got really sick. He was actually also a pastor, and to him it didn't matter like how sick he was. Every Sunday, and from his diagnosis to the day he died, he was up on stage preaching, and that was just it was important to him, and I always thought that was amazing, just to kind of keep pressing.
Wow.
So,
wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
But for Kathy Griffin, prayers and well wishes to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully nothing but positive news comes out of her surgery and recovery.
I didn't know it was possible you could remove half a lung and still have breathing.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's not that it's like exactly like kidneys where you can like remove one and still survive. Like you can live without one of your lungs, but it's you have to make like life adjustments.
Yeah,
you definitely be more susceptible to different diseases and things like that, like COVID.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially like now in like times of like COVID, like that's gonna be a big life change for her, because she's like always been one of those like people, those like tiny little people with tons of energy. She's like always been that person. She's always been like performing on stages, and she's always been like just full of energy. That's gonna be a big kind of like step down for her to kind of like slow her life down, because she's not gonna be able to she's gonna get winded super easily, like, but hopefully she's gonna do okay.
Yeah,
for sure.
I hope so.
For sure. All right, so next in line, this news it came out last week. I asked before the show, you guys didn't talk about it, and this has not been resolved as of yet. But Sean Penn has announced that he will not return to the set of his new show, Gaslit, until the entire cast and crew have received COVID vaccinations. Deadline reported. Deadline reported last Thursday that Penn issued the ultimatum because the 60-year-old star was not satisfied with the vaccination requirements imposed by NBC Universal, the studio behind his latest production. The requirements implemented that everybody in Zone A, which is which is the entire cast and the crew only in close proximity to the cast, must be vaccinated. He is now challenging safety protocols by telling producers that he will not return to work until every single member of the production team has been vaccinated.
Yeah, and that's going to either force them to get the vaccine
or hire somebody
or
else.
hire some people.
It's what is it? Is it Netflix that did I think it's Netflix. They are now going to be requiring like cast and crew, everybody on their sets to be completely vaccinated as well. I think that was something that just came out.
Disney announced that too.
Yeah. Netflix to require, Netflix to require COVID vaccinations for actors and other Zone A personnel in U.S. productions. So I guess it's still Zone A, but at least like it's still Zone A, which honestly makes sense because Zone A is literally the actors. It's the people that you're working face to face with.
Yeah.
But I think the point of what he was saying is he wants everybody safe.
Which,
he doesn't just want the actors
absolutely
protected. He wants everybody that's involved with the production because he's producing it. You know, he feels responsible. If somebody in catering, you know, gets COVID, you know, so his production team. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like that they've officially made it like it's a mandatory vaccination policy for that show, Gaslit.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It also makes sense because, you know, think about it, like during like 2020, how many productions were delayed, shut down, like
because of like somebody tested positive, so they had to shut down the whole production for like 3 weeks to like make sure everybody was tested. And it's like it's not like it's a cheap thing too. Like the vaccination's free.
Yeah,
you know, and
I think the new Mission Impossible got delayed 2 or 3 times, which pissed Tom Cruise off.
Of course,
but
last
him and his Scientologist police.
Last season of The Flash got delayed, I think twice because there was 2 different outbreaks, and you know, I had a conversation with my manager. We had a meeting, my manager, my agent, and we were talking about the vaccination. I've been vaccinated since they were available, but it's everything. Everything coming down the pipeline says that you have, you know, as an actor, you have to be COVID or you have to have the vaccination.
Yeah, I worked on a production. I think it was in May, or end of April. I think it was end of April. I had only had like my first shot, and it was like a super strict. Like it's out here in LA. Like the SAG protocols for that were, like everybody had to be tested. Like if you were on set multiple days, you had to be tested at least once per day that you were going to be on set. So like the day before, you had to get tested. Even if you were vaccinated, you still had to get tested. They supplied specific masks for us to wear on set. So we couldn't wear like our own personal masks. Like we were provided new, clean medical grade masks to wear while we're wandering around on set, whether we're in the green room when we're on set. So there's so many different like regulations. And this was, you know, a few months ago, and I feel like it's just going to get more intense, more requirements.
Yeah.
A friend of mine he's shooting a feature right now, and he said that he's getting tested. He has the vaccine, but every 3 days he's getting swabbed. Just a rapid, just to be sure the entire cast is. And I don't know if it's just Zone A there, but you know, I think it's important not to just you want to protect everybody, not just the cast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You want everybody from wardrobe to hair and makeup to, you know, catering, everybody to be safe.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things too is that like even if you're vaccinated, like if we as vaccinated individuals get COVID, it's not going to affect us in the same way that it's going to affect somebody that's not vaccinated. Like we can still catch it, but it's going to be like a seasonal cold versus somebody who's not vaccinated risks being put in the hospital, being put in the ground. And we're continuing to wear masks to protect the unvaccinated people. Because if we have it and we catch it, it's not going to be as bad versus the opposite. If we catch it and we transmit it to somebody else that doesn't have the vaccination, whether they refuse to not get it or maybe they can't get it because they have other underlying medical issues that make it so they can't have it, and I accidentally give it to them, like, we're wearing masks to protect other people more so than protecting ourselves at this point.
Yeah.
And like, I just
people are acting like kids.
Yeah.
People are acting like children.
Rebellious little 14-year-old kids when their mom's like, clean your room, and they're like, no, I don't wanna. And then they're gonna have to sit there and live in their mess because they're not cleaning their room.
Exactly. It's,
That was a really good analogy. I'm very proud of myself.
That was a very fine analogy. Very fine.
Off the top of my head, wow.
Award winning, yeah. Award winning.
I should be a public speaker.
You should.
I should have a podcast.
You should have two.
I should have two.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
So on to the last bit of news is something that everybody knows about. Everybody's been talking about it. Scarlett Johansson has sued Disney. Scarlett Johansson, star of the latest Marvel movie Black Widow, filed a lawsuit last Thursday in Los Angeles Superior Court against Disney, alleging her contract was breached when the media giant released the film on its Disney Plus streaming service at the same time as its theatrical debut. Disney shamed the two-time Oscar nominee by saying her lawsuit showed callous disregard for the pandemic, the latter of which has been the studio's excuse for taking Black Widow day and date in theaters on and Disney Plus Premium. Disney also outed her $20 million salary for the film, which it claims that, coupled with the Disney Plus monies of the MC title, significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation. I do have Johansson's attorney's response. If you'd like me to read that, it is a bit lengthy.
I haven't read it. I'm interested. Okay,
so her attorney has said, I want to address the Walt Disney Company's statement that was issued in response to the lawsuit filed against them yesterday by our client, Scarlett Johansson. They have shamelessly and falsely accused Ms. Johansson of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone they and I know she isn't. Scarlett has been Disney's partner on 9 movies, which have earned Disney and its shareholders billions. The company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman, as if that were something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett is extremely proud of the work that she and all of the actors, writers, directors, producers, and the Marvel creative team have been a part of for well over a decade. The suit was filed as a result of Disney's decision to knowingly violate Scarlett's contract. They have very deliberately moved the revenue stream and profits to the Disney Plus side of the company, leaving artistic and financial partners out of their new equation. That's it, pure and simple. Disney's direct attack on her character and all else they implied is beneath the company that many of us in the creative community have worked with successfully for decades. Johansson's breach of contract lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court yesterday and is the first public slam by a Hollywood star against a studio that's reaping money by crushing theatrical windows at the expense of talent in exchange for spiking its stock price for the sake of its newfound streaming service. Disney's stock price in the wake of Disney Plus has hit a 52-week high of $203.02 shares and are now trading at $176.90 at the time of this report.
Wow. It's just like, it blows my mind because it's literally like a breach of contract. That's exactly what it is. And like, they created this contract back in 2017?
Before Disney Plus had
before Disney Plus became like a thing. Like, I'm sure it was in the works, but like, it wasn't a thing. So they created this contract, and when Disney Plus became a thing, when COVID became a thing, it became apparent that, maybe they're going to be doing something. So I know that like Scarlett and her team went in and tried to renegotiate the contract to be fair across boards, and like Disney like ignored her. They like ignored what they were doing and then went ahead and just did it anyway. And I know that Emma Stone is now looking at potentially suing. There are talks that Emily Blunt and possibly Dwayne Johnson are also going to be doing that because Jungle Cruise just came out. So all of them and all of their lawyers are looking at their contracts to see, because it's like you're doing a project and you're being promised $100, but you're only going to get $20 up front. That's for her. That was that $20 million that she got paid. Cool. And then you're promised, okay, we're going to do the project. Once the project releases, you're going to get a portion of that project. You're going to gain that extra $80. And then they're like, just kidding. We're going to do something different. So that $80 drops down to $20. So you're only getting $40 of the 100 that you were promised. And that's what, because people are like, oh, she has so much money already. But it's like, it doesn't, like, she's doing work. And if you're promised that kind of like income, like you're like, I'm doing $100, so that's more like reasonable. You know, you're doing something for $100, but you're only getting 40 of that. Like you have every right to be mad.
Yeah,
it's not uncommon for somebody of her status, or you know, The Rock status, or anybody, Will Smith, to receive a percentage of the theatrical earnings in addition to
that's common.
whatever their quote is. So the fact that that was something that was in set in stone in the contract before Disney Plus debuted, and then, you know, due to all of the circumstances, you know, they're releasing it on it theatrically and on Disney Plus. They're leaving out a lot of money that she is owed because of how much money that we've already gone over in a previous episode that Disney Plus had earned.
Yeah, and I was reading something that it's her current losses are almost this is as of probably the end of last week. It's probably more now, but her current losses are upwards of like $50+ million because that's what she would have gotten from theatrical release if it was only theatrical release versus being theatrical and streaming. So she missed out on a huge amount of her pay, you know, and they expected it to do really well. But I also think that there's like, it's really annoying because they bring up like she's like not who she is, like how like she's not thinking about COVID. It's like Disney
They're trying to villainize her.
Yeah, and it's like, Disney, have you been to your parks? Like Disney World that are packed with people not wearing masks because it's no longer a requirement for people at Disney World to wear masks. That might change, but there was 22,000 cases of COVID in Florida like yesterday. Like in one day, there was like 20,000 cases. So it's like, Disney, like, no, it's not because of COVID. Like, it's because of money and you're being greedy.
And they should be careful because I'm pretty sure they would attach slander onto that lawsuit as well.
Well, exactly. Defamation. That's something else that I was reading because they're saying like, oh, she doesn't care about this. It's like, oh, so you're adding defamation to the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We have literal evidence.
I would do it. I mean, like the thing about it is that we discussed this, I think, the first episode, but this is going to change how the studios operate now.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
Last year when it came out that like Warner Brothers was going to release these movies every month on HBO Max, a ton of those actors were pissed off. A ton of them were pissed off because they're not getting their full earnings. So while I believe that they're going to end up, I believe this is going to be the format now for movies moving forward. They're going to have to come back to the table and figure out how to restructure, which I think might be where we start seeing these streaming services, their prices might be going up a little bit.
It's basically going to be a thing where like every streaming service is going to be paying for like your own separate cable service. Which is it defeats the original purpose. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry. It defeats the original purpose of having these streaming sites. Like we had these streaming sites, like Netflix was, you know, you would order a DVD online and it would get sent to your house. Like that's how Netflix started. And it made it easy for consumers to pay $1 to see a movie that's been out for a couple years versus, you know, going to, like either not being able to see it or buying it or whatever. And it was supposed to be easy for the consumers. And it's like, meanwhile, the federal minimum wage is still only like $7.25. It's like $7.25 isn't even some of these streaming services fees, you know, it's like if they go up, because I know HBO Max, we were talking about with like Space Jam, if you don't have the $14.99 a month subscription, you can't see some of the movies. If you have the $10.99 one, you only have a limited access. I think it's the same with like Peacock. It's the same with I think Hulu has a couple of things where they have like special releases that you have to have the HD version of it, which is like $15 a month. So they all have these like, it's like, oh, you can still have it, but you're not going to have the same access that you did a few years ago when you had access to everything for like $5 a month. You now have to pay 3 times that to have a little bit more access. But it's like, it's I get it because they need to make money on a business side, but also like you have to think of your consumers as well. And like the way the economy is, like they're jumping all these prices up and there's still like 3 million people without jobs.
Right.
And it's like, maybe that's why they're putting these numbers up, because these 3 million people had to cancel all of their subscriptions. Like,
which is why I think Netflix is the way they've done their original films, like Extraction, for example. Like, I think these streaming services might end up having to do what Netflix is doing. Just make that like HBO original or whatever, and you negotiate the contract between HBO and the distributor and actors.
I think a few other streaming services have started to do that. Like and it's basically with those shows that are like originals. Because I know like there's Peacock originals with and then there's the Paramount Plus. So they have those. Yeah. So they have those original shows. So I feel like that's different because if you're signing on to be on like a Netflix show or Paramount Plus or whatever, exclude like a original, it's only going to be on that streaming site. So your contract is going to be only really involving that streaming site.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I think this actually opens a door for more of those movies, because if these studios are having these issues with these actors at this point, Warner Brothers with all their films for the next couple more months for the rest of this year, I think if from the jump this is just an HBO film, Warner Brothers excluded, this is just an HBO film, I think there would be less argument, because you already have the negotiation of there being the expectation. I'm sorry, you have the expectation of this being on the streaming site, even if it is in theaters. Because some of those, I think some of those films that were on Netflix has also been in theaters. Netflix is coming out with their own movie theater. I forget which one they bought, but they
out in California.
Out California. They purchased one so that they can make it a
like theatrical releases. I know that the Fear Street movies, they had like a theatrical premiere.
Oh, did they?
They did. Yeah, that's how I found out about it, because I follow
most of the movies will have a theatrical premiere, but not a wide release.
Like actual like wide release.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Netflix
I mean, that would be great.
I didn't know about
Netflix bought Hollywood's Egyptian Theater.
That's right. Yeah.
So Hollywood's Egyptian Theater will be a Netflix led.
Which is why I think that Netflix could ultimately be the template that a lot of these streaming services are going to just go ahead and follow suit in that direction.
Yeah.
Because I like these like Warner Brothers, Disney, they're going to end up having these issues because you want to be able to release this in theaters, but you also want to be able to include it on streaming sites, because God forbid, because of how COVID is going now, because people just don't know how to act with it rising back up. If we have another shutdown,
all we have is streaming.
That's all we have. So what are you going to do at that point?
the writer of Spider-Man No Way Home, he tweeted something recently saying, "Stop asking me about the trailer, because if you even want to see the movie this year, you need to go get vaccinated."
Hey, I don't blame him. I agree with him.
Yeah,
but there could be some truth to that. Like the rumor is Disney's withholding, or Marvel's withholding the trailer because they're unsure whether or not we'll be in another lockdown at that point in time.
Which honestly, like I kind of don't blame them. I feel like that's valid.
Yeah.
With the way things are going, like I feel like that's valid, because I know that there's like now another variant outside of Delta. I think, what is it, Gamma, I think is the next variant that's supposed to be even like, there's another one.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like all these people that are unvaccinated and they're just like going out and having fun and whatever, they're just not thinking about like the fact that they are the reason why all these variants are having a place to thrive and grow. And it's just going to keep us in this like stuck position. Like,
yeah. I didn't even know there was another strain. There we
yeah,
go.
surprise.
It probably came from Florida.
Remember a year
His
ago when
anxiety's
people
up.
are like, remember a year ago when people were like, oh my God, the world is healing. It changed its mind.
Yeah. Psych.
What Moana needs to return the heart to Tafiti.
The heart of Tafiti. She just sing a song so the volcano becomes a nice little sleepy island.
I need to watch that again.
Such a good movie.
All right, so let's take a quick break and then we'll be back to review Blindspotting.
Hi, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. My name is Jessica Lemon, and I am the host of Sour, Sweet, and Spooky, a paranormal podcast with a little true crime squeezed in. Because where there's paranormal activity, there's gotta be some kind of true crime involved, right? I talk about ghosts, aliens, murder, cryptids, urban legends, conspiracy theories, and more. Stories from all over the world for you to enjoy every week. So check me out on social media at Sour Sweet Spooky and pretty much every platform that podcasts are found. And be ready for a brand new story. Oh, and remember, stay sour, stay sweet, stay spooky.
So welcome back. We are about to review the 2018 film Blindspotting, which LJ has been notoriously trying to get me to watch, and I just kept forgetting. Great recommendation, I will say. I hate that I didn't watch this before. Let me see. But what were your initial thoughts on it?
So I saw the movie literally the day it came out.
Mhm.
I had been excited to see it. It was written by and starring David Diggs and Raphael Casal. A lot of people know David Diggs for playing Lafayette in Hamilton. Raphael Casal, those two are best friends. They've been in a rap group together, or they've been a rap duo for years. I remember actually long before Hamilton. I remember being on a cipher rabbit hole on YouTube, and I came across the two of them in a cipher, and just crazy. Like, it was like an open cipher. It was crazy, and then I kind of went through their little clip. Their duo is called Clipping, and it's very interesting. But I was excited about this movie. Watched it, and like when I tell you that it was instantly top 10 for me. Instantly top 10. It's just such a powerful movie.
Yeah. You okay?
Okay?
So sorry. I breathed in saliva and started choking. Sorry.
You're good. The movie was just super. There's a lot of comedic elements, and then very moving, dark.
So that makes more sense to me. I didn't realize they were a rap duo.
Yeah,
that makes so much more sense to me now. Yeah, I don't watch trailers, as you know, so I didn't know what to expect with this, but the common theme of the blind spots going throughout the entire film, not just with the image that they show with the the vase with the two faces, but people just having the blind spot to different things, and they're just so tunnel vision to what they are looking at. That theme throughout the film was woven through perfectly. I especially with the Miles character being in an interracial relationship, coming across to other people as trying to act black or be black, when he just needed to just relax and be himself. Which at the same time almost felt like he was being himself, but it came across to other people as doing way too much. I think to me he seemed to be the one, and also I'm sorry, also not even paying attention to Colin in terms of trying to be better. Like he was just blind to all this other stuff that was around him and just focused on getting money, having fun, and his family. Like that was literally it. There was nothing else. He wasn't worried about really anything else. I Colin Colin's character is what's the right way to say this? Colin actually slick like reminded me of some stuff that I like how I've gone through different things. Like you're trying your best to do your best with different things, and then outside circumstances force you to do something else.
I feel like that's a very real thing too.
Yeah.
It's like I can relate to that on like a personal level. It's like I work really, really hard to try to get my life in order.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like as soon as I feel like I'm in a good spot, something happens, something comes up that kind of like just pushes me back a few steps. And I feel so the audience knows I actually unfortunately did not watch the movie. I was gonna tell you guys I have to like be in a good headspace to watch like something that's gonna be dramatic, something especially like with everything that was going on. This from what I saw in the trailer, I was like, I need to be in a good headspace or I'm just gonna cry and I'm just gonna be sad and like I'll be stuck. I'll get stuck like that. Because that's just like how I am. I'm very empathetic. So when I watch something, I get very like I feel it really deeply. And I just kept not being in the good spot to like sit down and watch that, even though I love W. Diggs. I love him so much. And it's like I said, I'm like, it's gonna be good. He's brilliant. But that's just like life. Life is very much one of those things that it's like you keep doing things, but it's like outside circumstances just like kind of throw you for a loop. And it's just really, really like real, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So I don't want to cut you off, but
sorry.
So Blindspotting. Just for the audience, just want to kind of read the synopsis real quick. Just so the audience knows, what's going on. Colin Hoskins, a convicted felon, is struggling to finish the last 3 days of his probation. Colin, along with his short-tempered best friend Miles Turner, works for a moving company located in Oakland, California. One night while waiting for a red light, Colin witnesses a white police officer using lethal force on a fleeing black suspect. As Colin is haunted by the incident, he begins to have nightmares and experiences hallucinations.
Yeah. I think, and this came out 2018, right?
Yeah.
2018, and they had been writing it for 10 years before it got produced.
Really?
Yeah, they started writing it in 2000, in the early 2000s.
See, and for this to come out in the period that it did, like
that was it came out in 2019, 2018, early 2018, right? January or July? July, just kidding.
This is a few years after Trayvon, after Mike Brown, Derrick Garner.
This is the peak of, or close to the peak of people, Black people really feeling anxious because this is happening. These shootings were happening so often. Like I lost count. I've lost count and forgotten names.
It's bad. It's really, and that's just like how it is. Like it's so common now that it's hard to keep up. Which, like if you're looking like from like another country into like somewhere in Europe looking out to the US, it's like you guys have like multiple like mass shootings like a day.
Yeah.
And we're like Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
Like we're so desensitized to it now,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that is not how things should be.
Yeah.
I'm all for like if you're a hunter and you have like guns, like if you have a reason to have it because you're hunting and you're gonna go out into the woods and kill a deer and bring it home and eat it and like make shit out of the skin and like use it, like that's cool. And like I can understand having like a smaller gun like in your bedside table for like protection in case somebody breaks into your house. But
Mm-hmm.
like all the shit that people have now and have access to, like there's no reason for somebody to have like an automatic weapon like in their home.
Right.
Like, and it's a lot of people say, oh, right to bear arms, and it's like when that was written, what we have now didn't exist. And then
Yeah.
it's to protect yourself against like the government, but it's like, homie, the government has like tanks, like they literally have like drones that can just drop like nukes. Like
Oh yeah.
you're like AK in your living room isn't going to help you against that. So
Not at
why
all.
do you have it? I know this is like a super controversial topic, but like it's that. And like for police violence specifically, if we want to go into that because that relates more to the film,
Yeah.
American police officers I think only need like 6 or 8 weeks or something of like the police academy, or
Mm-hmm.
it's like a couple months of like the police academy, and then they're like off to do
6 months.
Is it 6? Okay, so 6 months
So
of like the
6
police
months and
academy.
you're a police officer, but even just being a nurse is 2 years.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like to be a lawyer, to understand the law, you have to go to school for like 8 years. You have to put in the work. You have to pass your classes. You have to pass your exams in order to understand everything properly, in order to do law.
Mm-hmm.
But an officer goes to the police academy for 6 months and is the one enforcing it. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to enforce something that you don't understand? And it's not just that like there's a lot of things that tie into some of like oh my god, I can't remember his name. I feel so shitty. It was the young kid that was shot, like I think it's almost been 2 years now. He I think I don't know if he was autistic or he had like ADHD or
In the Carolinas.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
Yeah.
because he was like, I'm just trying to go home, like I'm friendly, like, and they were like,
Yeah.
no, you're black and you're wearing a hoodie, so you're down. Like
Yeah.
it like there's no training to like de-escalate situations. So like cops don't know how to de-escalate things appropriately, and then it's like they go guns first. It's like,
Yeah, which makes no sense because like the common excuse is, I'm in fear for my life.
yeah, it's like, homie, if you're fearing for
You
your
know,
life, that is not the profession for you.
no.
If some kid is
Elijah
walking
McClain.
down the street,
Elijah
yes,
McClain.
yes,
Yeah.
Elijah McClain. It's like if you're walking, if some kid, like a child, is walking down the street and you're scared for your life, and you're an officer, like you shouldn't be an officer.
Yeah. I'm see, like the thing about it that gets me is I'm not understanding how it's accepted, how that excuse is what uh the authorities or the their bosses or whatever find that to be okay, to say, okay, that like that you're in fear of your life, that's why you kill someone. And a lot of times a lot of these guys are running away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not even like,
because it's like I feel like a lot of the people that are running away, like they're running away because they're like, I might have a chance to get away if I run away, but
yeah,
that cop right there is going to shoot me whether I sit down on the ground and put my hands over my head or I
yeah,
run.
yeah,
So my better chance of survival is to run.
yeah,
And it's insane that that's how people think. Like it shouldn't be that. Like you should be able to, like, I should, like, I like anybody should be able to just walk up to an officer and be like, hey, I need help, like with something. But it's like a majority of people, specifically minorities, like don't feel like that they can call the cops. Like if somebody's like breaking, like a fucking somebody, again, I know that this happened. Somebody called the cops because somebody was breaking into their apartment, and the cop thought it was the guy who owned the apartment or rented the apartment that somebody was breaking in, and shot him. And it's like, he's like, I'm the one that called the cops because somebody's breaking into my apartment. You just assume because I'm black that I'm the one that's breaking into an apartment. Like, it's like, and that kind of stuff, especially when it gets the media attention that it does, it's like, that's going to make it so like literally anybody else, like that is a minority, is like, well, if I call the cops, they're just going to think that I did it. It's like,
I was driving on the back road yesterday and noticed the cop was driving right behind me. And I mean, for at least a good 5-mile stretch. The entire time I'm like, okay, I know there's a store. Like I knew there was a Publix coming up. My goal was to get to the Publix so that I can get
you could like, yeah, people. So it's like, yeah. And that I mean, and that's your thinking. It's like, you're like, I have to get, like, my goal right now to survive is to get to a place where there is a lot of people. So if this officer does something or tries something, I have witnesses.
Yeah. That was the only thought process I had for that for about a good 10 minutes.
Like, and like, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've so is the character Colin's in a like interracial relationship in the movie?
Miles.
Yeah.
I've only ever been in interracial relationships, and anytime like me and like one of my ex-boyfriends would like go somewhere, they're brown, always darker. We would go to like a convenience store and like, or just anywhere, and it was like almost as if like you like see the demeanor change in like either the workers or the like security that there might be somewhere. You like see, like if it's just like the two of us walking in, and I'm free to go wander around, look at shit on the racks, but it's like I look over and I can see the clerk, or I can see so and so like this doing these like kind of peeking over the racks, making sure that like my boyfriend's just not like stealing shit. And it's like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, meanwhile, like I could be in the corner just like sticking shit in my purse. Like it's like, but they're not paying attention to me at all. And it's like, I understand like that the privileges. It's just, I think that's why I didn't want to watch this movie, because I knew I was gonna get like super into like this.
Yeah.
I was at a bar maybe 3 months ago, something like that. It was me and my boy. We were going to a bar. I'm white, he's black. They checked my ID, let me in. They checked his ID and then searched him with a wand. And then I said something. I was like, "You didn't search me." And he's like, "Well, you're good." I'm like, "So see." And then we kind of got into it and then left him somewhere else. But like, just like, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't even like, I feel like it was just kind of done, you know what I mean? And the other people around didn't see what was happening. They just didn't think anything of it. Like the other people waiting to get in, like I was making a big deal out of it, and everybody else was like, it's not a big deal, just let them get searched. I was like, no, it is a big deal. It's a very big deal. And it just happens all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, especially within this film, like the fear that we have when it comes to cops was captured perfectly within this film.
In the trailer, they show the scene where David Diggs' character is in like the moving truck, and he like, the guy like runs up and like and he's like, whoa, and he like runs away, and the cop comes around and shoots him, and you just see him like look over and like see the cop shoot him, and just that like
Yeah.
Like, and I just by watching that, like, I'm just imagining him in the truck. Like, is this cop going to do something to me because I witnessed this? Like,
Yeah,
and
but it's also that confusion, because like, do you stay out of fear that they're gonna come bum rush you, or do you go act like you didn't see anything?
yeah. And then it's like, oh, if you do stay and like there is an because obviously there's gonna be investigations. Like if you do stay
Mm-hmm.
and you are there to like give your testimony, is the cop buddy that's coming up to do the report, is he gonna falsify the records because he wants to save his partner's ass?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What's and that's and that was the point that Colin brought up in the film as well. Like Miles, he told Miles that he witnessed this, and he said, why don't you go say something? Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the cops and say, hey, I witnessed the shooting, and it went down this way, not the way you guys are saying it went down. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
yeah,
Like why put yourself in that situation where now you're putting yourself out there for scrutiny from the police department, then could potentially get harassed, get slandered, all that stuff, just so they can uh, 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 undermine your credibility. And
yeah.
it's like that's another reason why I keep to myself. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm out and about and then all of a sudden whatever
Something
happens.
happens. Yeah.
I don't want
So
to do that.
there were a lot of very powerful scenes in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was one that stood out to you the most, and just as kind of, I know you just watched it, but that stuck with you?
The scene with Colin walking home, and the cop uh, uh, drove by him, turned around, and threw the spotlight on him.
Yep.
Like
Like,
my
why?
my heart was beating. That's the question, right? Like why would that happen? But we fit the profile of whatever.
Literally whatever. Like
Literally, it doesn't even matter what happened. It's like we fit the profile. We are the suspect. Prime suspect. Doesn't matter.
literally by just existing, and it's
Yeah.
like, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That scene right there, my anxiety started going up, because I'm sitting here like, oh Jesus, like this dude just got out of jail.
he has like what, like 3 days until his probation's over or whatever. That's
Yeah,
like
he
the
was in
main
that
like,
period. Yeah, he was within that time frame of like almost at the finish line, and now a cop's about to stop him. Like, it's like it's scary. It's scary, but that scene right there was the one that really stuck out to me, where I was like, yeah, like I felt that. And I've never even been in trouble with the law, never. But most times I see cops,
you get nervous.
yo, I kid you not. After George Floyd was murdered, um, I went into Publix. I would say maybe like within like a week of that happening. My sister and I walk in, and as we're walking in, there's a white cop walking in as well through the other entrance. And I saw his gun, and he's got this big smile on his face. Immediately, I'm like, okay, red flag. So like, there's something going on with this dude. We walked into the store, and we were in there for maybe 30 seconds. My sister was like, let's just get out of here. I don't feel comfortable. I said, yep, me either. We both we got out of there so fast, because I didn't want to be in a situation where like I pick up something, and then all of a sudden, like, because I picked up something, he's assuming I'm stealing it.
Yeah.
Or like, and that might sound like extreme to people in the audience, but like, to be completely honest, like, if you're not black, you've never experienced that fear. So it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people, right? But that's our everyday life.
Like that's your reality. It's like you it's almost like your existence as like a human is basically like being prey to the like the gazelle to the lion, and you have to be so aware, and you have to be so just like on top of things, because if you're not and you make the tiniest little slip up, that lion's going to take advantage of it. And it's like, that's no way for a person to live. I do feel like our generation is slowly working to change that. Especially the past couple of years there's been so much, and now there's a lot more people, a lot more like cops that are being held accountable. You know, it's a lot easier nowadays. I think it went on for so long because there was nothing that could hold people accountable. Like there was no video recording, no audio recording, no body cams. There weren't civilians with cell phones that could record things in fucking 4K. You know,
well, you know what's fucked up about that whole thing? Like all that had to take place just for us to even potentially to be believed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's shitty that that's like how it's been. But like the entire basis of the United States was founded on slavery and genocide and the white man being superior. And the US has only been in existence for a few hundred years. Like there is still so much of that like systemically like built into the US, like just fabric of the US. Like that's how it was founded, and that's something that like I think our generation is finally like sticking up for everybody, because like we're in a place where there's so much readily available knowledge, there's so much diversity everywhere now. And there's still places where, you know, you get they're really really like racist people and people that are still like hailing the Confederate flag and don't understand like the meaning behind it.
Welcome to Tampa, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? I-4, they've got that like ginormous like Confederate flag. Is that still up, or is somebody finally taking that down?
Yes, for the big Trump statue.
Oh, there's a statue now? That
well, it's not a statue, but it's a gigantic, it's not like a cardboard cutout, but it's like a giant like billboard that was like kind of installed to the ground. And,
it's definitely going to take, I think, a couple more generations for, I don't think we'll see it, sadly, where, you know, there's, you know, like not racism in everybody's everyday life, and people can go out and just be comfortable going on a walk in the middle of the day or the middle of the night, whatever. Like,
I don't think we'll ever be without racism, to be completely honest. Because
I do think that
actually do that, you have to be willing. The people that are in positions of power have to be willing to acknowledge what's going on. One, two, be willing to tear the whole structure down that racism is built on. Like you have to be able to break up that foundation to then replace it with a new foundation, with which you will build upon. There are people that are in positions of power. I'm not even talking about politicians. I'm talking about people that the politicians answer to, more so corporate way, in the corporate world.
There's people that we don't know their names, we don't know their faces, but they have a big pull in everything that's going on.
And they don't want to see things change. As long as they have that type of pull, I don't know that we will ever see that dramatic change.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, we won't see it in our lifetime, but our maybe great grandchildren, maybe that generation will be in a place, because I know that there's been like some scientific studies that like the majority of the human race will be like interracial by like 2050. So we're already kind of slowly going into that thing where it's like there's not really going to be too many races anymore. Like everybody's going to be a mix of something. Like even now, like a majority of people that I know are at least a mix of something. You know, very few am I finding somebody who's like 100% like Irish or like 100% like Ethiopian. Like I don't know, like it's you don't really come across that anymore. Everybody's like, oh, I'm like a mix of this and this and this. And it's
for various reasons too.
There's so many different reasons. Like there's the reasons where it happened in the first place was because of slavery and bringing so many people from like Africa and from like South American countries into like the US, and like people from Europe coming in and destroying like all of like the native cultures and then mixing with those cultures and those races and kind of creating things. So it has not necessarily been like a good path that was taken to get to where we're at right now, but I think like in the long run there's not like we're not really gonna have a ton of like races. I think we still will, like there's still gonna be like different areas of the world, but I feel like the majority of people are going to be mixed, and it's going to be like, why is there, I just have a hard time understanding why you're going to judge somebody or like hate somebody because of the amount of like melanin in their skin. Like I don't I've never weird. Understood it. Like I was like raised in like I'm my parents are Republicans, my parents are a little racist, but they raised me well enough to know that like you judge a person based on the character versus how they look. And when my family moved to Florida when I was a kid, I was 11 when we moved to Florida, and that was like kind of some of my first like introduction to like not white people, because I was born in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is very like Irish.
Are you a Celtics fan? Are you a Celtics fan?
I am. Celtics, Patriots, Red Sox.
Good,
you know.
We'll talk about that off air.
LJ's just like no. But you know, it's like I grew up like literally right outside of Boston, and even now, like I see things like on like Facebook of like some of my family members who've never left the state of Massachusetts, and they're so racist. And it like blows my mind. And like I lived in Florida for 15 years, starting at 11 years old. And being those, I feel like those are really like pivotal, like growth years where you really kind of discover like more about yourself, more about like who you are and like the type of people you have around you. And like my entire neighborhood was so like mixed, you know, like the neighborhood I grew up in was just mixed. There was literally like every race, and those were my friends, and that's how I grew up. And then I went to my high school that I went to, super mixed, super diverse, and I think that was a huge contribution to like who I am now. And like as I got older, now I lived in Massachusetts, lived in Florida, now I live in California, I live in Los Angeles. So like this area is one of the most diverse I've ever been in. And I love it because you get to learn more about other people, other cultures, family dynamics. Like it's just, the more you're exposed to the world, the more you can understand other people. And I think that's super important. And I know one of the things they talk about is like, if you go to college, like, oh, all these college educated kids like come out of school and they're all liberals now. Like, what are they teaching? And it's like, honestly, they're not like teaching kids to be like super liberal. These kids are just making friends with people from other parts of the world, other parts of the country. And they're meeting these people and like realizing that it's like, they're not so different. Like, I feel like people think that like a black kid from Louisiana is going to be worlds different from some like white kid who lives in Maine. But when they meet, it's like, oh, we're both playing the exact same video games. Oh, we both like love Chipotle burritos. Like, like it's like, oh, the fucking Celtics are like my team, and it's like it's just meeting people from outside of your hometown. I'm a huge advocate on getting the fuck out of your hometown. Move out of your hometown. Leave your hometown. Travel. Even if it's just like a road trip to like a couple states away, like just get out of your home, because like that's how you're going to meet people and interact with people that can help you grow as a person too. And
which is somewhat part of what they discuss in this film too, because you have Miles that is, LJ, I didn't catch this. Did he grow up in Oakland or he moved to Oakland? He grew up in Oakland. So
he's very much a product of
he's a product of his environment, but he was received as someone that was an outsider, which was very weird because he definitely spoke the language of the people in the area. You remember that one scene of him trying to sell the boat to this guy that he's just saying different shit to the guy, and they're talking, going back and forth. Colin goes, "What were y'all even talking about?" I don't know, but sold the boat, like
what you're saying takes me back, and it's the scene that sticks out to me. There's two, but one of the scenes that sticks out to me the most is the one after the party where Colin and Miles kind of get into it, and Colin said, "You're who the cops are looking for, but they look for people like me. They look for people that look like me." Like you know what scene I'm talking about, where he tells Miles to say the N-word. He's like, "Nah, bro, I don't say that shit. You know that." And he's like, that scene just always sticks out to me just because of the emotion and in Colin's heart and his voice, and like he's just broken at this point.
I was almost daring him to say it in that scene. So like, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know what was it. I don't know. Is it in the trailer where he's like, "Yo, dude, you got this, you could say it," and he like goes to say it, and he's like, Is that that's okay? So I did see that in trailer. That looked hilarious. That looked so funny. Like
that's a different scene.
Okay. But okay, so that is this. I was just like thinking about it because I was like, I just saw something where like the guy was like, "Nah, dude, like you're fine, like you can say it, like it's fine." He goes, "All right, and then he goes, no," and then he was like, I'm just kidding, you can say it," and he goes, "All right, and he goes, no, you can't, no, what?" And it's just they go back and forth for a couple minutes, and it's like really funny, and the friend is like, "Bro, you said I could say it," and he's like, "Nah."
The towards the end of the film, well, actually, let me ask, what was your opinion on them implementing rap into it? The movie's not a musical in any way, but the two characters grow. It's not a musical, but the characters grow up just like kind of like
freestyling.
How I grew up freestyling. You know what I mean? So, but then the way that it kind of comes to a head in the end when they're moving the couple out of that house, that scene breaks me every time.
I want to go back and watch that scene again.
So I read that in the synopsis. I think I know it. It's the he ends up like breaking some of the property because of who the house belongs to. Are we doing spoilers or?
It's up to you.
Yeah,
we always do spoilers.
Yeah, I was like, we always do spoilers. So
but it's up to you because you haven't seen the movie too.
I read the the synopsis. Like so it's like I kind of know what happens, but like you guys watched it, so you go ahead.
They're moving. They work for a movie company, and towards the end of the movie, they're moving. They're moving stuff out of a house. A husband and wife are divorcing, whatever. So they're moving the boxes into a moving truck, and then they go down into the basement, and they realize that the husband is the police officer who gunned down the black man who was running away. And then it's the murder that Colin witnessed. And it all just comes right back to him. Not that it ever left, but just seeing him
it fully
face to face, and and he picks up a gun that was on the counter there, and he aims it at the cop, and he starts rapping to get his emotion off.
But
And
it
it's
was
so
the thing about that though is that throughout the film he was trying to do freestyles and he was always like limited in the flow. And then as soon as he gets to this point, it just
spills out.
It just came out. And I mean the word play, if you need to be under that heavy pressure to come out with that kind of flow,
speed, the aggression.
Jesus, that was phenomenal. And the thing about it is, which I find very interesting, is that the cop, which tends to happen in these types of situations, the cop was like, I didn't mean to kill. What do you mean you didn't mean to kill him? This is not like they were wrestling. It's not like the gun accidentally went off. He literally ran after the guy, stopped in his tracks, aimed his gun, and shot multiple times as the guy was running away. Which is another reason why, like, I agree that the training of cops in general has to be something that they go back and take a serious look at to
There
extend.
needs to be like, because like other countries have like their police officer programs are literally like 3 years. Like they're in school for like 3 years to be ready for their job as a police officer, to be able to de-escalate situations. Most countries, officers aren't even carrying guns. They might have like a taser, and they've got a baton.
Yeah.
Forgot. But it's like, so it's like a lot of places like don't even have the ability for the cops to shoot somebody, you know. And then in a situation like George Floyd, where like he was literally like suffocating him, like that, like in what world like is your brain like, this is okay, he says he can't breathe but it's fine, like, you know, like it's clearly not. And like, thank God for that girl for recording and staying there and like not listening to them to turn off her camera. She's like, no, I'm gonna record this. Like, it sucks that that's what we need to be able to get some form of justice in some of these situations. But like,
let me ask you guys, I'm curious, you know, a lot of people say movies are movies, or music is music, and it's entertainment, and that's what it is. But Jess, I know you and I have talked about this, that, you know, as actors or as performers, is like, you know, that you can bring about impact and change with the art that you make. So how do you guys feel about, you know, a film like a Blindspotting or Fruitville Station or anything like that? Do you believe that a film like Blindspotting can bring about change?
Absolutely.
In any element?
100%. I think it sucks because I know that there's some movies that I've watched that have me as like a white woman have like impacted me to like understand, or at least kind of have a little bit more understanding of things that might not necessarily like be 100% correct. Because I know like the movie The Help, I loved that movie. I know we talked about this like a couple weeks ago about how like it's a movie about a white woman. It's like starring a white woman about like a black woman's like life. But like even like little bits in movies like that you like see, and like you see these like people deal with real life situations, deal with like real life shit. It's like it humanizes them more and makes it in a way it's like you can kind of understand like what they have to deal with. I'm trying to think of another movie. There's fucking so many of them that like things happen and you're like it's basically like similar to just getting to know other people and being like, you're literally like the same as me. Like, as a child, you're gonna make friends, and it's like it's definitely like a product of your upbringing. Like if you're parents are like, oh, don't hang out with like so and so, and it's like, oh, why? Like they're my best friend. It's like, oh, because they're black. You know, it's like you can get away from that by exposing yourself to more in your life.
Yeah, I agree that some films have the potential to bring about change. Some films like this can bring about change. The problem that I have though is believing that it will, because you have people that watch it purely for entertainment. They're not watching it to learn or understand,
Yeah.
because they're so stuck in their ways and in their mindset that it's
Sometimes
literally
that's when the
something that
deepest impact comes.
it
You're not
yeah
expecting to get a lesson, but you get it.
but you have to be open to
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
you have to be willing to say I'm actually wrong in my position, right?
Which is hard for people. It is hard for people to say that they're wrong.
Right. Because and they might have other reasons outside of just pride, like earlier when I was saying corporations that are invested in to how policies are dictated. They have financial reasons as to why they believe what they believe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I believe that some films like this can create an impact, but I don't know that it I don't know that they will.
Yeah, it's like they have the potential for somebody that maybe doesn't doesn't realize that like a police brutality is as bad as it is, watching something like this and just seeing like a cop just like shoot somebody.
I don't even know
It's
that it's more so that they don't realize it. I don't think they care to.
Yeah. Well, that kind of like ties back into the fact that there's been so many shootings that like we as a society have become desensitized to it. So when it happens in a movie where some people would be like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Like I like watched this guy's journey and like how it affected him over the course of like that like week or whatever. And like the PTSD that it does in cause, like you're so used to it that it's almost like you're so used to seeing it in the media, like, oh, like this happened, this person was shot, like here's the video of it happening, like like it's we just we're so desensitized to it as a society. We see it and we're like, okay, like that's okay, like I'm just gonna go get my Starbucks and go work my 9 to 5 and then go home and do nothing. Like it's I definitely believe film and entertainment things have the potential to create change, but it does rely on the consumer on being open
Right.
to realizing their mistakes, realizing their flaws,
Right.
and as well as just being around other people that can be like, hey dude, like Matt Damon. Is it Matt Damon? Yes.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So he said the F word slur for a gay person. And he didn't really think anything of it. He's grown up with that as like a word, as just being a word. It's like when we were kids, we're like, oh, that's gay. Like now I'm like, I don't say shit like that because it's not a negative connotation. And I understand that. I grew and I've learned from it. And it's just like with him, like his daughter, who's like 15, was like, Dad, that's not a good word to say. She went, showed him why. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. She went and showed him why it wasn't. He learned from it and he grew. And had she not done that, he might have not even known that him saying that word was going to be bad.
This happened recently?
Literally like this week. He literally came out, he held himself. There's a weird thing. People are like, he should be canceled, blah blah, blah. It's like he held himself accountable.
I keep seeing that he's canceling himself by telling the story.
But like, which is stupid because it's like he's like, hey, like there's this thing that I did not know as a white man, a straight white man, that came to my attention. I learned from it, I educated myself, and I'm talking about it because there may be other 50-year-old straight white men that are saying this word and not realizing that it has a negative effect to the people around him. And that's what I got from him coming out and him talking about it and him bringing attention to that. Because I also saw other people like, oh, why is that such a bad word? And it's like, because it has those negative connotations to it. It wasn't used as like a compliment, so it's not a good thing.
When it comes to that word, it's like, I feel like I know a lot of Irish or Italian people who just use that word, and I've never from anybody that I know, from family or friends or whatever, who still use the word, despite anytime I hear it, I say, I call it out. But a lot of people just use it kind of as a joke to insult your friend. It's not funny, but like, I remember, I forget, I was talking to a friend and somebody had mentioned that they watched Jersey Shore, and my friend said, "You're such a that," and the thing about it is, like, I've never heard this person use it to insult a gay person, but that doesn't change the meaning behind the word. So you try to teach them that lesson, to say that. And the thing was, somebody that was in that group was, I know this, they didn't know that person was gay, and it hurt them. And so you never know who's around. You never know who's listening. You don't want to hurt somebody. You don't want to offend somebody. You need to be careful, and you need to understand the definition of the words that you're using and the power behind some of the words that you're using.
Exactly. And like, that's a thing too. It's like, growing up, like, when people, like, when I bring back like gay, like, people would be like, oh, like, that's gay, or like, stop being so gay, like, in a way being like, hey, like, stop being like stupid, like, or like, oh, that's like, that's dumb, like, that's not, that's silly, instead of saying like, oh, that's silly, or like, oh, that's gay, or like, oh, I don't like that, that's gay. It's like, when meanwhile, like, your best friend's next to you hasn't like come out of the closet yet, and they're sitting there and they're like, you are saying things in such a negative way about, like, you say you hate that thing and you're calling it gay, and they're sitting there like, I'm gay, and the way you're using that word makes it seem like being gay is a bad thing. And
I didn't realize this was even still.
And it's the thing, it's like, you don't realize, like, it's like, we're in 2021. You wouldn't think that this would still be something that's so prevalent in society, but it is. Like, somebody like Matt Damon, a huge celebrity with a huge pull, didn't know that saying the F word was a bad thing. He had no idea. And his 15-year-old daughter, who their generation, they're going to do some changes. They're going to be changing some shit, and I'm very excited for it. My kids are going to grow up with like the best teachers. But his 15-year-old daughter was like, hey, Dad, like, that's not okay. You can't say that word. Let me show you why. And she showed him, and he, being open to it and being open to learning and growing, shared that with the world. And he's getting backlash for it, but it's like, how many other people are seeing this and are a huge fan of Matt Damon, and they're like, wow, like, you know what, I also didn't know that was a bad word. Like, I didn't know that me saying that was going to impact some of these people around me that I love.
I agree. I agree that it's a good thing that his daughter did that. I'm still just kind of like having a hard time processing that in 2021 people still don't realize that that's not an okay word to use.
And that's you have to think about how vast the world is. I feel like the world is so huge, but it's also so tiny. We have easy access to information, but at the same time, there are people in the state of California that don't know who the Kardashians are, and it's like, how do you not know who the Kardashians are? Like, they're plastered everywhere all the time. They've been on TV for 15 years. Like, they're always in the news, but there's people that don't know who they are. There are people who don't know like the names of like one of them. They could be like, oh, that like girl with the big butt, I don't know her name. Like, so if you think about it in that sense of things, like, for me, it's like there's like football teams. It's like I don't know 80% of the football teams, but there's people out there that know every single player on every single team in any given moment. Right. You know, and so if you think about it in that sense, like there are things that will slip through the cracks. There's things like that will slip through the cracks that people won't realize. But as long as like there are people around you to call you out on your bullshit and call you out on that stuff, you know, and you're sitting there willing to grow, you'll grow. And that kind of ties back to like movies and art and entertainment having an impact on people. Yes, absolutely. The potential is there, but the people themselves have to be open and willing to accept that what they knew or what they were taught is wrong or is hurtful or just incorrect. And is if you're open to it, watching a movie that's going to show you that PTSD doesn't just come from going to war, that it can come from any kind of traumatic experience and continue on and affect you for the rest of your life. And you're open and willing to be like, oh, you know what? Shit, yeah. Like that guy witnessed a cop murdering somebody, and now he's terrified of what potentially could happen, and and he's having flashbacks of it, and it's like that's PTSD. It's like I thought that was only something for soldiers. It's like no, like, you know, and it's they're like, oh, you know what, like that does happen in people's real everyday lives. As long as you're open for it, you can grow and learn from it. But that's the thing, is like the potential's there, but will it happen? Who knows?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. Wow. So
this was a heavy show. I get so worked up on this kind of stuff, and I think it's just because I have the privilege of being like a white woman, and I have a voice that people will listen to, and you know, I have platforms that I can talk about these things, and it's like not my place to go into like a ton of details on these things, but if I can bring like some kind of awareness to it, I want to, you know, if I can use my platform to help somebody else, like that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah.
But yeah, I get super like heated and like into this kind of stuff. So these conversations can get very heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's good. It's good because I can learn more.
That's worth it.
It's worth it. And I feel like that's super important, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. What are we giving this in terms of rating?
Go back to the movie. How'd you guys like it? On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think?
What do we think?
It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10, so it's a 9.5.
We got to give our list of top 10 films.
Oh,
that's a hard.
Maybe we'll do that next week. That'll be like our top 10 films. We'll have to sit down and figure out our personal top 10 films.
We should. I know LJ probably has this. I don't know what my.
Yes, I keep a list on my phone, and I legit have a list on my phone of my top 10, and when it changes, I correct my list.
Yeah, I I don't know where I'm putting this in ranking, but I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I think they did a great job of mixing
the imagery,
the messaging, the imagery, the music. Well, not even the music, just the
like the spoken word bit.
It was just phenomenal. It was a very well balanced film. Makes me want to actually watch the show now.
Do you wish you would have watched this movie 2 years ago when I told you about it?
I wasn't ready for it. I didn't know what the film was about.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was about, but I wasn't in a space to watch this at that point. Especially after last year with George Floyd, there was no way in hell I was gonna be able to watch this. I would have turned it off because it was just that heavy. That I can't. I'm still in a space where I don't want to see any videos of different things happening, because I just mentally can't. I can't. I don't want it. I don't want to have that in my mind right now.
There's a movie that my old roommate was like constantly telling me to watch, and it's Clouds.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus. And it's
cancer movie.
Yeah, I was like, it's about the kid with cancer, and like she was saying that like she watched it and was just absolutely just broken and sobbing, and she told me that, and like I had seen a couple things, everybody's like, Clouds is such a great movie, but I've been crying for like 2 days, and I'm like, I cannot watch that movie if I'm not in the right headspace, because like I said earlier, like something like this, like you've seen from this past like hour of us talking about it, I'm super empathetic, and I feel things so deeply all the time. And if I were to watch that movie and see like how it all pans out, and like all the stuff that happens, and whatever it is that makes everybody absolutely cry, like I'll be stuck there for days.
One day when we're recording, she's gonna randomly say, all right, so Blindspotting, it fucking destroyed my life.
I will. I'll be like, so remember like 4 months ago when we watched Blindspotting? I finally watched it. That's why you didn't hear from me for 3 days, because I was curled up in my bed crying.
Yeah. I wish Jess was a part of the Starving Artist BLM episode we did. Watch it. I watched the BLM versus ALM one. Oh yeah.
Ew. This is
so
yeah.
There are people on that episode. I will, if I see them in person, I will never acknowledge them.
My dad shared something back in like March. It was like some girl was on spring break, and she was a white girl on spring break, and she was assaulted and murdered by 2 black men. And my dad shared a thing that was like, you won't see justice for her, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, because literally the cops apprehended her assailants. I was like, there's a word for it. Apprehended her assailants. They are in jail, they're awaiting like their trial. And like the whole thing was like, you won't see like justice for her, you won't see it in the news, you won't see it. It's like, and then at like the bottom it was like, all lives matter, and it's like, they were arrested, they're going to jail, all of the information is accurate from her like autopsy, the report, everything is pretty on point. There's video like of the guys going in and out of the hotel room, like it's all there. You Google her name and a dozen articles pop up, like, and so I chewed my dad out. I wrote this super long, like, because he posted it on like his Instagram story, so I just replied to the story, so super long Instagram message, and I told him that I was like, I'm really disappointed in you, because you raised me differently than the way you're acting right now. And she has her justice, meanwhile Breonna Taylor doesn't, and George Floyd at the time didn't, you know, like even now it still doesn't really, but you know. And I think somebody else recently had been murdered by like a cop like maybe a few weeks before that, and I was like, this person has not had their justice. The reason we say Black Lives Matter is because they're seen differently, you know, like you're sitting here saying that this girl's lives matter, and it's like, yeah it does, but her killers are still just chilling. We know exactly who they are. But like her, like, or her killers are have been apprehended, versus like these other people, like their killers, we know their names, we know their jobs, we know where they live. They're just chilling, they're fine, they're living their lives, they're watching TV, and that's not fair. And that's why there's the differences between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Like, all lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter and people of color's lives matter. Like, all of this stuff with like the Asian hate as well, like AAPI lives matter. You know, like, it's not saying that white people's lives don't matter. It's just saying that, like, we need to, as a society, like, care about everybody equally. We can't just pretend that there isn't an issue when there's clearly an issue and a systemic issue.
Yeah.
There's statistics on it. There are numbers that will tell you that things aren't fair. I could keep going to it. There's
I agree.
But yeah, and that's like a whole other thing. But no, but it's like if you don't call somebody out for their shit, like, they're not going to learn and grow from it. I fortunately have seen a small change in my dad from that day that I called him out on that. Good. You know, like, he'll still post like stupid stuff from time to time. You know, and he's a Republican, but like, he's not posting like a ton of like bullshit the way he was. You know, I think he's looking at things a little bit differently now because I called him out on his shit. Yeah. And like, I don't talk to a majority of my family anymore because of their racism, and I've tried to like talk to them about it, and they've just kind of come back at me, and I'm like, if you're not gonna be willing to sit and listen and learn, then I unfortunately do not have time. Like, I've tried, but if you're stuck, and that's what sucks about a lot of it. But maybe if somebody closer to them were to tell them the same thing, like, maybe they'll listen. But yeah, I think my dad obviously like sees other things like online, but I think because me, his daughter, was like, I'm disappointed in you for the way that you are putting things out into the world. Like, you didn't raise me like that, so why are you acting like that? Yeah. And I think that hit home for him. And he, I do think, took it in a little bit. I don't think he's fully like liberalized or whatever, but I do think that me calling him out on that was important. And I think that that's something that like more people need to do, like hold people accountable. Don't just like laugh at somebody's like racist joke or like sexist joke and be like, you know, why is that funny? You know, why is saying what you just said like funny? Why are you laughing about that? And if they can't explain it, explain to them why it's not funny. Yeah. I think that's important.
It's a little bit at a time. A lot of uncomfortable conversations that have to be had in order to chip away at it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. And my dad's like 71 years old. He's like an old white man who grew up in Massachusetts. Like, it's not going to be an overnight thing, but sometimes like if that person's willing to learn and grow, like, it's going to take time. They're not going to learn it overnight, but like if they're not willing, like, you can't do too much. But if they're at least willing to kind of listen and not remove themselves from your life after you challenge them once, like, take the time to get them to where they're going to be, because people have been raised in such like a weird way. I don't know. People think that like racism and like segregation and stuff is like old news, but it's like, no. Like,
no, I agree with that.
Like my parents were alive like before schools were segregated, before there weren't like whites only water fountains. Like, my parents were alive when that shit still existed. Yeah. You know, like my parents,
which shows that we're not too far from removed from
exactly. It's like, and my parents are older, but like other people, like their grandparents were around when you could walk down the street and there'd be like a coloreds only water fountain, or like the movie theater was separated where like coloreds only seating was a thing. So it's like it's not that long ago, and like that's why we're trying to work now, because people have the voice to do it now. We have the reach, we have the internet to share things and to learn from, and all the information in the world is at our fingertips. So
I definitely agree with that.
I feel like I'm just tangenting now.
No, you're good. You're good.
Rating the movie. I didn't watch it, but I'll give it a 10.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back up for our final segment.
Perfect.
This is Nick.
When I get up in the booth, bitch, you know damn well that I'm gonna go stupid. Cause I'm living out these dreams that are lucid. Could really give a fuck what her, him, or you said. They said I'm a motherfucking nuisance with a drink in me cause I'm so damn boosted. They hate it when I go ape shit like a poochin'. That's word of Marcel and my new friends.
All right, so we are back after quite a heavy episode. I feel like a quiz is a good idea. I was just saying that like we didn't do a quiz last week because it would just be Q&As. It wouldn't be as fun. LJ, we did miss you last week on that, but we are back, all of us, and I have a fun quiz. This one is 12 questions. It's just movie trivia. I feel like it's just some of it's basic movie trivia. Some of it I really feel like most of these answers are not super difficult.
Yeah, you said that last time and I was
stuck. I was gonna say, I said that last time and it wasn't quite as easy as I thought. I do feel like no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Derrick, I'm ready to go back to back like the cover of Lethal Weapon. Just do it.
But this one I do feel like might be because it's like actual like questions versus like what movie did this quote come from, or like what actors said this or whatever. So I feel like this one is a little bit easier than last time.
Okay.
It's a little bit more straightforward.
Okay.
Okay.
I might still give you a win just because you're next, you know.
Okay. So here we go. Question number 1. What was the first feature-length animated movie ever released?
Okay, that is
like ever?
First full-length animated movie.
That
it was in the 40s, right?
I'm thinking about that that Mickey Mouse Steamboat.
You're thinking of no,
Steamboat
that was
Willie. That's an episode. That's
is it an episode? Okay.
No,
I was gonna say
full-length
Bambi.
feature. Nope, full-length feature film.
Snow White?
Yeah.
That's that Dame Lillard range, baby.
It was Snow White.
That's that Dame Lillard range, baby. Let's go.
All right. Okay. Question number 2. What movie did Tom Hanks score his first Academy Award nomination?
Castaway.
No. Philadelphia?
No, none of the above.
Wow.
Big.
Yes. Such a good movie. I watched it recently too, like over quarantine. It's so good. Okay, question number 3. In what 1976 thriller does Robert De Niro famously say, "You talking to me?"
Taxi.
Yep.
Oh, man, come on.
Well, Taxi Driver, but yeah,
Taxi Driver.
I was gonna say that.
Were you?
Yeah, I was literally about to say that. He started. I can't interrupt. So.
We should get like a buzzer. We should do a buzzer.
Yes.
You guys should just. Okay. Question number 4. What's the name of the? Oh my God! Sorry, that word just my dyslexia just came out. What's the name of the anthem? It's like the anthem dance near the beginning of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You don't know the name of the dance in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Have you guys ever seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yes, but I don't know the name of the dance.
No.
I'm gonna just throw something out there. I don't know it. The
Mhm.
Creep.
Nope.
The Creep.
The Electric
That's all I got.
Slide.
No. It is called The Time Warp.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that.
Time Warp again.
I've never seen that.
Oh my God, you are missing out. That is a movie that you need to watch. Like cast.
Okay,
flawless.
I'll check that out though.
It's literally like a cult classic. The fact that you have not seen that hurts my soul. Anyway, question number 5. What Hollywood movie star plays himself in Zombieland?
Oh shit. Nope.
Who you gonna
Bill Murray.
call? Yeah.
Bill Murray. I said it, Derrick. You can look up.
That's so sad. That's so sad. I was just about to watch that movie again.
I just watched it when I went up to San Francisco. We watched that one night.
Oh man.
Okay, so question number 6. For which 1964 musical blockbuster did Julie Andrews win the Academy Award for Best
Sound of
Actress?
Music.
I said it already. No?
That's not the right movie.
Oh.
Who else did she play?
Mary Poppins?
Yeah! Mary
When
Poppins!
did Sound of Music come out? What year was that?
40s.
Is that the... No, it was not
So
the
the Sound of
40s.
Music came out
40s and 50s. Right?
1965, and Mary Poppins.
65.
Yeah, 1965 was The Sound of Music. 1964 was Mary Poppins.
Okay.
So Mary Poppins came out the year before.
The Sound of Music's better.
I like the Chimney Sweepers. So.
They're both very good movies. Miss Dame Judy Andrews. Okay, question number 7. Who wrote the screenplay for Rocky?
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
I'm
Derrick,
overthinking.
come on.
I'm overthinking.
Simple.
Yeah.
You know that
Okay.
epic story.
I know the story. He's because he was walking around with his dog as a
All right, so question number 8. 3 of Jim Carrey's blockbusters, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, were all released in what year?
95.
95.
Nope.
96.
Nope.
92.
No. Oh, LJ got it. 94. You had to run down the list there.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
You guys were close, though. It's the 90s, you know?
Yeah.
So, question number 10. What is the highest grossing movie of all time when not taking inflation into account?
Titanic.
Endgame.
What was that, LJ?
Endgame.
Yeah.
Avatar.
Didn't
Avatar dethroned Titanic and then Endgame dethroned Avatar.
Yeah.
I don't have this as a question, but do you know what is the highest grossing movie of all time with taking inflation into account?
I think it's still Avatar, right?
No.
No, then I don't know.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
I'm gonna fact check myself here really quick.
Wow. Gone with the Wind. Didn't see that one coming. Because I knew the top 3 were.
Period.
Huh?
So I didn't see that one. Period.
No,
I never saw it. Gone with the Wind.
I don't think I ever saw that one. Either.
Yeah, I think Gone with the Wind highest as of 2020 worldwide gross with inflation is $3.739 billion.
That means people are still buying it. I mean, what does this mean?
Yeah, it's one of those classics. Came out in 1939.
Ah.
I
wouldn't spend $2 on it. I don't. I'll watch it for free.
It's on streaming sites and I still haven't watched it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're still getting like royalties. Okay, so we have 2 questions left. LJ, you are at 6 points. Derrick, you're at 2. So even if you get both of these right, you will not win.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe you can just have the satisfaction of getting the last couple questions correct. All right, so question number 11. Who is the first and only woman of color to win the Oscar for Best Actress?
I'm overthinking this. I'm going to say Whoopi Goldberg, but
no.
Yeah.
It's not Viola Davis.
Nope.
I haven't I can see the face of who I'm thinking of, but I can't think of her name.
Name something she's in.
I can't think of the name of her movie, the big movie that I'm thinking of either. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. That was really amazing.
Describe it.
True story. True story. It's a lot of dead air.
It is, but I'm
your brain's. It's not dead air. It's just it's gears turning. Oh my
so
goodness!
Great way to put it.
The actress who played True Story, it came out like 3 or 4 years ago. Is the one that I'm thinking of. I don't know if it's the right answer.
I'm not sure.
Or I don't know why I want to say something that starts with a C. Her real name's
nope.
Cynthia.
Cynthia,
no,
that's one thing.
Catwoman.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry?
Yeah, there you go. I'm not giving that point to either of you.
No, you shouldn't. But I still said it first, so I get the satisfaction.
Yeah, but I had to say Catwoman. Like I had to give you an idea. Okay, last question.
I could have said Anne Hathaway. She was Catwoman too.
Okay,
like,
yeah, but literally the question is the woman of color. If you said Anne Hathaway, I'd be like, Okay, last question. Question number 12. What Martin Scorsese movie holds the all-time record for F-bombs? It's there. It's there. LJ, do you know it?
Yes, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. He was just letting you suffer.
No, like I don't like that, man.
I looked over at LJ and I was like, he knows the answer. He's just waiting.
It's all right. It's all right. When the Celtics do better this season, and then
talk to me when the Celtics do something in the free agency period. Just wait till
we won't this year.
Didn't they win last year? Or no,
the Knicks got further than the Celtics.
Yeah, for the first time in your life.
That might be true. It doesn't change that it happened.
Oh my god. All right, guys. With that concludes our little quiz there. LJ, you came out on top. You got 7 correct. Derrick, you got 2. That means there's 3 questions or 3. I don't know.
3 throwaways.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here we go. And see, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I said from the beginning I was gonna let you win.
I learned it came from William West, and you can never check me. Back to back niggas.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh my god.
No, let it. This is my celebration. Hold on.
No, LJ, stop. I'm gonna flag for some copyright. Come on.
Derrick knows how to handle that after all the fans.
No, obviously I haven't yet.
Oh my god.
Hey, let's ask Jess. Hit for hit, Drake or Kanye? A little plug for our other podcast.
Hit for hit. You mean like? Wait, what do you mean by that?
Head to head.
Head to head.
Head to head, song for song.
Who are you taking?
Impact.
I've been a Drake fan since he was on Degrassi, but primarily for his acting. I didn't really listen to his music. Kanye, he's just a very wild human being, but I feel like he's had more of a longevity in his career and has had more impact. So Kanye, I guess.
I don't see a date on the thing, but coming to fans, 26th. Drake versus Kanye. August 22nd, Drake versus Kanye on OTS podcast fans.
Yeah. I'm going Kanye on this one. I'm expecting him to win, but at the same
time,
I'm
saying Kanye too.
I do believe that Drake is going to be. I never mind. You know what? Never mind.
Cheap.
No. I was going to say I think he's going to be able to undermine it and cut it. The problem that we fixed the problem that we had with the bias on the panel. So We shall see.
Can't wait to text you throughout the whole entire show like last time.
Hey man, I'm going with the billionaire.
Didn't he go bankrupt though? Come on.
Who, Kanye?
Yeah.
No, that was 50 Cent. 50 Cent went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Well, Kanye still lost all of his money, didn't he?
I don't think so.
At one point, he did.
At some point, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But he divorced Kim, and I don't think there's like a.
He divorced him. Let's get that straight. She was like, this man.
Hey, you know what? They got 4 kids. I don't think he has to pay child support. If he does, I would love to know what that payment is going to be.
Dude, that check. That.
My God.
All right. With that being said, this has been another episode of Realish. We will be back, same place, same time next week. I'm out of here.
Bye.